BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And this is mostly a true crime channel, but during October I did an episode about horror movies for Halloween and Christmas movies during December, of course, and I thought because we do so many episodes and I interact with you guys in the comment section talking about true crime cases that have a lot of heavy material, I thought why not do something lighter, and why not explore something that is purely for the sake of discussion. And I've also been watching a lot of sitcoms lately, so I thought, why not look at some of them? And right now, we just have a list of best sitcoms of all time. Back when I was in college, I was a freshman, and I had this friend who was very passionate about movies and TV. That's all he talked about. That was all that we talked about when we were together. And we pulled up a list of best sitcoms of all time, and they proposed that it was actually from AFI. They said Mary Tyler Moore had the best sitcom of all time, but Seinfeld had the second best one, and Seinfeld was rated at number 2, although it was highly disputed because many people thought that Seinfeld should be the number 1 sitcom of all time. But you see, with Seinfeld, it's a very different type of show. Because if you watch Seinfeld back in 1989 when they did season 1 and the pilot, you will truly experience a show about nothing. It's like you're engaged, you're listening, you want to know what the characters are going to say, but then the episode just ends. There's no story, there's no real arc. There are just these characters who are doing very mundane activities, but from time to time they say funny things. And the show really came into its own in about the 3rd or 4th season, and many people say that there will be no future Seinfeld because Seinfeld had very low ratings in the first 3 seasons, and television shows are canceled so quickly these days. But I was really surprised, though, when we put in Best Sitcom of All Time, and they have some of the names on this list, like That 70s Show. Okay, it's absolutely hilarious. I love watching That 70s Show. And even now, when it's been gone for several years, I still find that it is one that makes me laugh so heartily. It's a very entertaining and very humorous program. But I remember back in high school, I think I was a freshman in high school actually, I must have been 14 at the time, and somebody said, That 70s Show is the only sitcom I can watch, and I actually laugh by myself. You know, when you're not caught up in the communal laughter, because you can think about it with a lot of these other shows. Sometimes they're very engaging, but unless you have, like, the roar of the crowd, you don't start laughing. Modern Family here is one that I predicted from the beginning. I knew that that one was going to be a hit. I knew it was going to take off because it's actually for a very odd reason. I saw the actress Sarah Hyland on this one, who appeared in an episode of Law and Order. I think it was actually Law and Order SVU, and they said that this girl's performance will shock you. And she did. She gave an amazing performance on Law and Order SVU. It was one of the best episodes that I've ever seen. I mean, that's really hard to say because that show's been going on for a bazillion years. And when I found out that she was going to be on that show, Modern Family, I was like, I just had a feeling that it was going to be a hit. Not only that, because it also featured Ed O'Neill from Married with Children, as well as a bajillion other things. Ed O'Neill also did a recreation of the show Dragnet, which I thought was very very good, even though it was short-lived. As I said, shows are being canceled very quickly. But How I Met Your Mother is funny, but I really haven't seen much of it, just an episode here or there. The Big Bang Theory, on the other hand, is one that I think you need some time to truly get into the humor. Otherwise, it just seems like a little bit confusing, or you don't know why you're supposed to like these characters because you have your Sheldon Cooper and, of course, Leonard there, and you aren't completely sure. Are they supposed to be likable? Or are they just supposed to be annoying? So, but once you actually become familiar with them, you're like, oh, okay, now I can comprehend the humor. And to the credit of CBS, they might not be good with everything, but they seem to have plenty of entertaining sitcoms. See, with Parks and Recreation here, absolutely hilarious show. very likable characters. But I've noticed that that was at a time when they were really trying to get away from laugh track sitcoms on NBC, and of course they still have some now. But the thing is, 30 Rock took off so strongly, and people were just thinking that this is like the way that television is going to be for a while. And it's not even 30 Rock, because we also had The Office, the American version. And about that one, The Office was a show that I couldn't comprehend at all in the UK version with Ricky Gervais. I didn't understand it, I didn't get the humor. But once I saw the American one with Steve Carell, I thought it was very funny. And then they wanted to do that sort of fake mockumentary style, or just the whole multi-camera, getting away from the traditional sitcom shape. Ah, but best sitcoms of all time, where would we be without South Park and The Simpsons? No, The Simpsons is so bizarre because, as you see, 33 seasons, and it has changed so much since season 10 or 12 thereabouts. And some people even say that the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons that's classic Simpsons, right? And then 20 seasons of it, 23 seasons, or it's what is known as Zombie Simpsons. Yeah, it's still going on, but it's just not that important. It's completely lost any type of genuine heart, and they really went into the concept of just being brash and outrageous, and they want to just show off like that, okay, these are yellow people and they do silly things and they're cartoons, but it doesn't have any of that heart and soul that they had in the first 10 seasons. It's just about noise, and they did that episode with Lady Gaga that was really weird. South Park is one that, again, I find absolutely entertaining, but like South Park can really cross a lot of lines where they do some things that are not even funny, they're just disgusting, especially when people start eating poop and such. Okay, and I know they're not the only show to do that. They do things like that on Family Guy. But on that note, I was watching an episode of George Lopez recently, and I really found that, I don't remember that show being so obnoxious, but indeed, like, it's about, there's a lot of very rough humor on the sitcom George Lopez, which is still aired on TBS, and it looks like it's out on Peacock too. But with this one, I watched several episodes of it back in the day when it was coming out live. However, I just found that so many things that they are trying to do are not quite what I remembered, because as I get older, it's just like the stuff they're talking about, it's just child abuse. I mean, the grandmother on the show here, who is in the middle of this photo, she well, she's a criminal, she steals, she's an alcoholic, she neglected her son, and that's all supposed to be funny. But then I thought, why am I being so hard on this sitcom? Because Family Guy and South Park, they all do that. Like, they all go into that. Now we got some type of Chinese ad. I almost hit Y just trying to go to YouTube out of muscular memory. That's kind of weird. But anyway, so but like, if like, why should George Lopez be given such harsh criticism when there are way more obnoxious episodes out there? Or there are much more obnoxious shows. And I think it's just about expectation, because when you watch something like George Lopez, yeah, okay, they have some rough humor, but you still expect it to be some type of wholesome family comedy, whereas you do not expect that with South Park, Family Guy, maybe American Dad. You do not expect them to be like any type of value. You're just looking for obnoxious shock humor. And I think that that just relates to expectations. John Sonmez said this very clearly on Bulldog Mindset, that the reason why you have friends is because of expectations. And even if it's as simple as you just want someone to be empathetic and a good listener, well, what do you want from a sitcom like South Park? You want it to be obnoxious and you want it to have shock humor. Now, here's one called Abbott Elementary. It seems to have come out this year, and everyone's saying that it's a hit. I haven't watched it yet. But to me, that just seems like it's repackaging um, other types of TV shows in a new context. It's like some elements of Parks and Rec, and some elements of Community and AP Bio, and they just recreated it into a documentary-style mockumentary show, and I'm not impressed from any of the previews. But about previews, this one here, Letterkenny, I have not seen that, but I saw the trailer for that one. It looked absolutely horrible, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I guess I kind of do because I just called it absolutely horrible. This comedy series showcases the antics of residents of Letterkenny, a small rural community in Canada. Yeah, I was not impressed by any of the previews. Two Broke Girls here. I happened to catch an episode of that yesterday because cable television loves to replay sitcoms. And again, that's one that's kind of hard to jump into the middle of because of how brash and the humor is, or a lot of the humor is just being mean, but you really have to develop a certain sense of connection with the characters before you can appreciate that style of humor. Oh, Hot in Cleveland, featuring the late Betty White, and also Jane Leaves there. You see, she was more famous for being Daphne on the show Frasier, but that's actually a very funny show. But I learned about Hot in Cleveland because of a different way, and we well, I had this job where we had a lot of downtime, and we weren't allowed to use headphones, but I would sneak in an episode here and there, and I had Paramount Plus on my phone, so I would watch Hot in Cleveland, but I watched all of it with no volume, but just with the subtitles, and I thought that it was really weird once I finally heard the characters' voices, and I was actually just watching the actress Valerie Bertinelli there, who's on the left, in a miniseries called Night Sins. She's been like a lifelong television actress, and their voices sounded nothing like what I expected. Even Betty White, because she is a Polish immigrant. What was her name? Elka on that show. But yeah, it's very entertaining. I don't know if it would be like life changing or the best of all time, but definitely it it made the shifts go by more quickly. Kim's Convenience. When did that happen? Oh, everybody's talking about this one called The Goldbergs. I've also never really had any connection with that. Now the show Mom here, featuring Anna Faris, and I believe she pronounces her name Anna Faris, not Anna Faris, and also features Allison Janney. Mom is a great show, but it's really like two series put together. As you see, the women here on the cover of that, the first 4 or 5 seasons, maybe the first 3 seasons even, were focused on Anna Faris, who is a recovering alcoholic, and she has a teenage daughter who's about to give birth to a child, and she is working in a restaurant, and it's more focused on her life in the restaurant and being a mother who's rebounding in her life. But by the time they get to season 5, it's almost exclusively focused on the interactions they have with the AA meetings, and a lot of the supporting characters were not even used. Okay, you see this one here, Young Sheldon. I just started watching that this year. Young Sheldon is a show that it's not like laugh out loud funny. I don't really laugh maybe once or twice during an episode I laugh, but it is entertaining. See, that's why you really have to find a sitcom sometimes that is going to make you laugh. Not only just like, oh, I want to see what happens next, or because we learned about Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, so everybody already likes him. And it's very, like, again, it's entertaining to watch this child genius in a high school context, but I'm just not really laughing a lot. I've never seen an episode of Superstore, but I think I would watch that if I had the time. Community, I've also never seen an episode of that. But New Girl, a very entertaining show. I think New Girl, though, is only appealing to a certain demographic. Maybe the late teens, early 20s, maybe even late 20s crowd. By the time you get into your early to mid 30s, you're just like, life is not like that, and then you have to move on. Whereas a show like The Middle, yeah, life's exactly like that. It's about a family who lives in the middle of nowhere. And I think that one thing about The Middle is you really got to see the children grow up, and they do a lot more, it's a very strong transition from childhood to adulthood, and they also explored family conflicts in a very lighthearted way. That features Patricia Heaton, and Neil Flynn is the father on that one. He was more famous for being the janitor on Scrubs. But again, it's not really a laugh out loud show, Happy Endings, never heard of it. Call Me Kat is a new one with Mayim Bialik, and I saw like one episode and I was not impressed. I get that some of it is outrageous, but I'm just not completely there yet. There's 30 Rock that we were talking about before. The Connors from Roseanne. I have never seen an episode of Roseanne. I know nothing about it. Oh, but we have AP Bio here, and that head you see is actually Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. What's his real name? Glenn Howerton? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is, I mean, I just absolutely love that show. I love the ridiculousness of it, and that's another prime example of, okay, that's an obnoxious comedy, but if how can we be hard on some other comedies if if we're going to be like, okay, obnoxious comedy is acceptable for some shows, but it's not for others? No, it's acceptable. It's acceptable. And that is a show, though, not an IEP Bio, but It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that is genuinely laugh out loud funny. It's uproariously funny. But with Bob's Burgers, I think there's a very strong balance of the way that they do the comedy on that show, because Bob's Burgers has multiple layers to it, and maybe once, if I ever truly want to do this, I could do a 2-hour episode on all of the psychological elements of Beavis and Butthead, and I could also do one for Bob's Burgers, because there are just so many hidden aspects of the show about how some characters, like Bob here, for example, he appears to be miserable, but he's actually very happy, and that character with the rabbit ears, Louise, is very mean, but she's actually very nice in her own way. There are so many different layers to that show. Saved by the Bell is it was very popular when we were kids growing up, and my best friend as a kid told me that he's like, you gotta stop singing the Saved by the Bell theme song. You do that all the time. And I thought that it was so weird that he said that, because I don't know the words to the Saved by the Bell theme song. And in the morning, in the morning, you're never gonna make it on time. That's alright, 'cause you're saved by the... Okay, I know some of them, but like I don't really know the words. I just found out that there was this one called Mike and Molly, 6 seasons. There was an episode that was aired on one of the local networks here, and it's with Billy Gardell, whom I know better as Bob from Bob Hart's Abishola. I never got into Everybody Loves Raymond, and Family Guy poked fun at that when they just were like trying to replicate the humor of Everybody Loves Raymond, and Ray just simply says, "It's been 9 years. I don't care anymore." And David Spade was on a show called Rules of Engagement that apparently went for 7 seasons. Also, never heard of that one. But the thing is, though, we have so many streaming services now that they can just keep putting out shows that we don't have to be aware of. And oh my gosh, WandaVision, if you want to count that as a comedy, WandaVision, though, has elements of action, it has elements of drama, and I've never quite seen a show like this. And I think both Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany were nominated at the Golden Globes, and when we were growing up as kids, that was just really at the foundation of when these movies based on comic books were coming out. Yeah, I know they did them in the 90s, but they all sucked, like that Captain America film that they did where Captain America has polio and he becomes Captain America to get over his limp and such. I kid thee not. But with this one, they just blended together so many states of being. And as you see from the cover, that kind of gives some of it away, but absolutely, absolutely, that was entertaining. Hey, there's It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You know about this one, though? This was the show that introduced me to the song Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Before, it was like, we had this thing called Rick Rolling, right? Where they would just play that song Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. But they played it on this show, and I must have been season 1 or 2, thereabouts. And that's how I learned the song, but I didn't know the words once again. And I thought the song was never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, wherever you are, wherever you are, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. So like, for about a year, I was just singing the song that way, and no one ever corrected me. I would just go, wherever you are. And I would really focus in on those words. And again, I don't know the song. All right, maybe my friend had a point. I do sing the theme songs to television shows, even though I don't know the words. And I guess with Saved by the Bell, I was a little bit more conscious of that. Again, Dave, never heard of that. Oh, Schitt's Creek. I've heard that one is really good, but I've never seen it. It wins a bunch of awards. Alexa and Katie, I've also heard some good things about. Oh, Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's a funny show. And I was talking about it on the Instagram journal recently, about how maybe it doesn't have the most amount of optimism, like with Seinfeld. And it's not even my own observation, but someone said this. Seinfeld had 4 friends, Jerry, Elaine, Kramer, and George. And no matter what, they were friends. That's what it is. Like, they actually care about each other. It's them against the world. With Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's pessimistic. It's just Larry David is walking around and driving around yelling at people. And someone even said, like, with Curb Your Enthusiasm, oh, it's funny, but most of it is just Larry David failing to do simple errands. I still love the show. Even like the things that they brought back. Oh, Blackish, absolutely Blackish, because Blackish is a show that really was an absolute gold mine last year. I mean, I say that was the best show that I discovered last year. It came out in 2014, as you see, but I first started watching it in 2021, and I'm on season 2 right now, and I've watched some of season 7 because it was available on the ABC app, and they're actually doing the final season, the 8th season. And it's really at the point where the cast of Blackish wants to move on and they want to do other things. Marsai Martin, whom you see in that red dress in the center, simply said that the biggest professional decision of her life was choosing to stay on Blackish for the 8th season because she wants to do other things. But that, again, is an uproariously loud family comedy, and I do mean that because it's not purely obnoxious. I was really surprised that they touched upon so many subjects that are very rough, like masturbation or just like bodily issues, but it's funny. It's funny. I mean, like, it's funny, but it also has heart and soul. And we have Rick and Morty there, of course. I should get into that one if I want, but Big Mouth? What the hell is that? Love, hate, Big Mouth, never heard of it. And, oh, F is for Family. I've heard that one's good. It looks very, angry. But you see this one here, Grownish, that is featuring, what's that, what's her name? Yara Shahidi. She is the daughter on Blackish, the oldest daughter, actually. And, they have 2 spin-offs from Blackish. The first is called Mixedish, and the second is called Grownish. I'm not sure which one came out first, but they have 2 spin-offs. Mixedish is about the 1980s, though. Oh, Fuller House. We just saw the passing of Bob Saget recently, and, Bob Saget was an absolutely hilarious stand-up comedian. See, that's something where I could totally get into. When you're anticipating the rough-edged humor, the obscene comedy about... I mean, Bob Saget was a hilarious stand-up comedian because what did he say about there were these rumors going around that he was having this homosexual relationship with John Stamos, and he was like, no, he was gay, I was just laying there. Oh, Silicon Valley, very entertaining. And yeah, that's how I was introduced to T.J. Miller, but I believe he was actually in the movie Cloverland, although he wasn't very well known at the time. And T.J. Miller was also the guy from Office Christmas Party. I'd never quite seen a show that was about tech startups, but I'm really glad they did, because the other thing that Silicon Valley showed us was just how influential CEOs are on the public image, on modern culture, and they're just making jokes about Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Largay, yeah, we can call them that. They're the guys behind Google. Largay this and Largay that. Sergey Brin and Larry Page. And of course they have stuff in about Mark Zuckerberg, and even now Jeff Bezos is one of the most influential guys on everything. I mean, not only destroying bookstores, but also sending William Shatner into space. William Shatner and Michael Strahan, Family Guy, of course. But what is that, Julie and the Phantoms? Let's see again, when do these things come out? Oh, Ted Danson and Mr. Mayor, I heard that one was good. Will and Grace was a show that I could never really truly get into. I never really liked it that much, I suppose, but Cougar Town was, because the real reason I watched Cougar Town was because it was on after Modern Family. Now, this is going to sound really dorky, but I would watch Glee, like season one, and I gave it up because I wanted to watch Modern Family and Cougar Town instead. That was on Wednesday nights back when I was in college. Now, Man with a Plan with Matt LeBlanc, from what I've seen of that show, it seems pretty good, but it's just not that exhilarating. And I've never seen an episode of Roseanne. My Name is Earl, actually, is a pretty funny show, but it was kind of short lived, and Jason Lee has done a million other things. Till Death, it didn't seem funny. I'm really surprised it lasted 4 seasons. And everybody's been talking about the Golden Girls because of the passing of Betty White. But, yeah, so I guess I would just turn it over to you guys. What sitcoms do you like? What do you think is the best sitcom of all time? Do you agree with that thing about the Mary Tyler Moore Show or Seinfeld, Friends? Maybe those are all going to be up there. And I guess we didn't even really go through the Rolling Stone list, but maybe we can do that in a future episode. And oh, looks like they have Frasier down here on Stacker.com. Yeah, Frasier is definitely an entertaining sitcom. It's funny, but it's not that obnoxious humor that I was talking about before. It's funny in a smart kind of way, and I think that that is something very valuable. But I do have to confess to you guys that I've never seen an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which they're promoting here. Mr. Bean, they're actually going to put him on their list. I guess so, because Mr. Bean even appeared in the Olympic ceremony for London in 2012, because he is just an absolute cultural phenomenon. Whether I went to Russia or China, people are obsessed with Mr. Bean because they can understand the humor. We have this one final question here. What is the number one sitcom? Oh, they say Seinfeld, actually. Uh, it's possible, but Seinfeld, again, does have a sense of intelligence that a lot of other sitcoms in these days do not have. And even before Seinfeld, back in 2014, I was watching an episode of Gilligan's Island, and I just couldn't believe like the kind of humor that they're using. They're saying, "Do we submit or subvert?" I say we subvert, and then the laugh track plays, and I was like, maybe it's an actual studio audience, but I was just so surprised that that's funny. You said the word subvert, and you're making people laugh, and I guess so. Well, there were only 3 seasons of Gilligan's Island. I thought there would have been more, but I guess 3 seasons, if they did 24 episodes, I'm not even sure exactly how many episodes, but let's see, that's 48, and is that 72 episodes? Yep, that's a lot, actually. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Black Box Online Radio. As always, you can like, subscribe, and please weigh in the comment section about your favorite sitcoms. Anybody can write the show at blackboxonlineradio@aol.com, and all of that's in the description box, including my personal Facebook, which has been posted there, and BlackBoxNid88 on Instagram. And you can find me over there for the bonus podcast, and until next time.